Hello everybody, Sean Milburn here again today with Milburn Motorsports. We're going to be doing a post-track day inspection. Last weekend we took both of these cars out to the racetrack to test what they can do. You saw that we already built up the RSX. We had the first testing day for this car, so we're going to be inspecting everything we went over, the problems that it was having. My street car, I'm going to be checking out the brakes and checking out the exhaust. There's a small rattle going on somewhere from 1,000 to 3,000 RPMs I want to find because it's pretty annoying. So we already got the car up on jack stands, so that way you guys don't have to watch us do that, and we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to get all of the wheels off of the Z so that we have access to the brakes. Once we do that, I'll do the inspection on this. We're going to start out with this car, and then we're going to move on to the RSX. Alright, so now all the tires are off. I went ahead and checked out all of the rubber. They're looking pretty good. I didn't pull any air out while we were at the track. There was no rolling up on the sidewalls. So that tells me that the air pressure was pretty proper. It doesn't look like the tread is worn off on one side more than the other. It looks super even and consistent, so happy with that. I decided to also rotate the tires side to side in the front because the tires have a lot more load on the front right at Thunder Hill, since everything you're taking left-hand turns pretty much going this way around the track, kind of clockwise. So I don't really need to swap the rear tires at all. They seem pretty consistently the same. Again, completely even tire wear. Doesn't look like there was any rolling up on the sidewalls or any like folding in the center here, so it's pretty good. Looking at the tire this way, I don't see any wear on this side rather than this side, so these tires are all looking good. I think the pressure that they're at right now is probably the best way to run these at the track, but I'm probably not going to run them at the track anymore. These are just supposed to be my street tires. I just didn't feel like taking the Nittos to Thunder Hill 2 mile, but I didn't know I was going to be at the 3 mile that day, or I would have brought them. These did really well for just being street tires though. I'm actually really surprised with how well these perform. Could just be due to the sheer tire size. These things are massive, so definitely helps. While I was inspecting the Z, my dad was over here working on the race car, and he found something pretty interesting. This is why you check your car when you come back from the racetrack, especially if you have a race car or a heavy modified car. Look at that. It's not supposed to be doing that. Yeah. So there's definitely an issue somewhere in there. Maybe during reassembly when we put everything back together, we forgot to snug something down, or maybe hub bearing got blown out or something like that. But we're gonna find out once we get this tire off.
Well, hi folks. If you've been watching over the series, we always check our tires. The tires we checked, because these were brand new, we wanted to make sure that they were smooth, no flat spots. We had the cambered caster set. We were having some steering issues. We check it, and as you saw, we had this totally loose. Now these bearings on this type of vehicle, they need to be under pressure. They have to be at torque specs to work properly. Now some vehicles, they have to be at a set spec like 20 pounds and that's it. This car has to be send them, right? It's like 150 foot-pounds of torque. It must have got stuck. It's done it to me before when we tried to tighten this nut, and look what happened. And I even crimped it. So we're gonna give it another knockdown and see what it does. Oh yeah, there we go. Problem solved. So the fact that we just ran it a little bit with it loose, I don't foresee any damage. We've had this issue before, so I'm confident we're all good. We caught it early.
All right, so we're here checking out the Z's brakes. It looks very solid. There's pretty much like half the pad remaining, maybe a little more, which is kind of surprising. I expected it would be pretty far down, but I did get this car with new pads on it, so always good to make sure regardless. You know, I know guys that will go through a full set of pads in a day kind of thing. I wanted to make sure this car wasn't going to be the same kind of deal, and I'm glad it's not, because that's extremely expensive. The rears are also looking good. No issues here. The rotors don't look like they're completely gone or like they're gonna start causing any problems or they're warped. I didn't feel anything that was too crazy in the pedal on the way home. Just a small little bit of vibration, but nothing that was extremely concerning. So I'm just gonna keep running it this way, and it should be good to go for another day.
Yeah, hi again, it's me, it's Tom. Okay, we're gonna look at the back of the RSX. We found that loose axle. The brakes need changing. We're gonna change out a few things up there. Our last time when we did service on this thing, I put some Hawk blue pads on the back here, which I knew were gonna be too much, but it was kind of an experiment. So, what happened is we had way too much rear brake bias. Now on a car with ABS, it would help you with that, right? You can put almost any brake pad on there and it'll work for you. It still isn't the best way to do it. You need to have the right friction in your position in the back and the front to have good balance. We had misbalance, and what it does is exactly what you're seeing here. We were getting lockups, and we have little thin spots here on our tire where the brake was locking up and making the car ill handling and being tough on our very expensive tires. Now this isn't too bad, it's still usable, but any worse than that, this tire would be not usable anymore. So we're gonna change the brake bias, get rid of these Hawk pads, and I'm gonna use, believe it or not, a good set of stock pads, because that's what the car was designed for, and we've had good results. I used these because I bought the wrong pads, and I said, oh, let's just throw these on, and it was a mistake. You learn, you learn even though you know you shouldn't have done it, right? You know, you second guess yourself, and gave us some trouble, but it wasn't race day, so we learned something.
Yep, sometimes the stickiest pad isn't always the best pad to use. It all just determines what your car likes, especially with no ABS. Basically with no ABS, you run it the way the car's comfortable. So if we were getting extreme lockups in the front under like barely any brake pressure, that would tell us that something up there is getting way too grippy, because if it's just locking up on you, you're not actually getting any brake out of the car. You're just losing a bunch of time and wearing out your tires. So you can see here, we don't have any like crazy brake calipers. It's not like we're running some like 6-piston stop techs on the thing. This is literally just a stock caliper that we have some nice pads on the front and some rotors that'll handle it, and running that with slicks gets insane braking force and it never overheats. Believe it or not, I've never had this thing brake fade a single time or boil any brake fluid at any point. It just works, and so since it works, we're not touching it.
Okay, another thing too, people watching, if you know, might be interested, a lot of modern cars don't like racing pads. You're going, oh, I'm putting these great pads on here, and all you're doing is creating more grip and bite from that brake pad and making the ABS work that much harder. It has to control that locking and that over grip that high quality pads like racing pads will do, and you'll find out that it stops good, but you have a problem with brake fade. You're fighting with the car. You're like, oh my God, you know, it works really good for the first session, and then after that, I keep getting brake fade. There's all these problems. There's something wrong with my ABS, and what it is the friction is too good for the ABS. You're getting lockup you don't even see. It gets little stutters in the braking, right, where the sensors see it and will start relieving brake pressure. And after a while, as you're driving on the track, all of a sudden you notice the car doesn't stop as well, is because the friction is so high, the ABS gets a headache. So you got to watch for that. Good brakes are great. Throwing on race pads may not be the answer. Absolute stock bottom of the barrel brake pads. They seem to give us the correct brake bias we're looking for. So that's what I'm doing. They're 30 bucks.
Yep, stock brake pads, 30 bucks a piece for the rears. You can just forget about them there for a while. Check back in on them just to make sure that they're...
Oh, kosher pickle.
Yep, just to make sure that they're all even in there. We took the other ones out. Where's the other ones?
I have them up in the shop.
Yeah, so these here were fine on the passenger side. You're getting full contact there. But if we look at the other side, yeah, if we go ahead and look at these, you can very clearly see that not the whole surface was being used. This one was being used a bit better. It was getting about 3/4. This one was only being used about 1/4, right about there. So however these were set in was improper, so we need to make sure that they go in properly. Alright, so I decided to add this footage in because I wanted to show you the new rotors, calipers, and pads we got for the car. So we actually went ahead and ordered a full new brake setup for the all around, on the fronts at least. So we're gonna have brand new fresh brakes. We're just running the stock calipers with the stock rotors, and we're using a Hawk pad. So tomorrow is gonna be the rotors and pads for the front. We don't have them yet, it's still coming in, so once we get those tomorrow, we're gonna be changing the fronts, get a nice new fresh set on. After that, we're just gonna stick all the rims on, stick it back on the ground, should be good to go. We're gonna wash both cars right now because they got filthy on the way home. There's a lot of like just bugs and random marks and tire marks like that.
Rubber.
Just everywhere, so need to get all, yeah, look at that one. So, oh, it's even up here, wow.
Yep.
That travels far. So yeah, getting all of that off. I just cleaned it before we left too, which is kind of annoying, but now we're gonna just hit everything.
Well, the
so
fun part's getting it dirty.
yeah, fun part's getting it dirty, so I'm not gonna film us washing it, that's pretty boring. So this is where the video is going to be ending. Thank you very much for watching Milburn Motorsports. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed this. I can answer any questions you guys may have, or at least I'll try. I read all of my comments, so just feel free to let us know. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.